Good afternoon. This is All India Radio. I am Valsa Williams and with me is Anuja Kumar with the Midday News. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses BJP workers on the party's Foundation Day today, says national interest is of paramount importance in the functioning of government. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar says India is strongly against conflict and in the age of dialogue and diplomacy, country chooses the side of peace. 2 terrorists killed by security forces in Jammu and Kashmir. IMF lauds India's Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana program, which prevented extreme poverty in the country during the COVID-19 pandemic. India is now at number 3 in the world in terms of unicorns, 99 unicorns registered so far in the country. Minister of State for Electronics and Information Technology says government is committed to ensure open, safe, trusted and accountable internet for all users. Ayush Ministry to celebrate Yog Mahotsav on the World Health Day at Red Fort in New Delhi tomorrow. PV Sindhu and Kidambi Srikanth advanced to pre-quarter-finals in the Korea Open Badminton Championships 2022. And in IPL cricket, Kolkata Knight Riders to take on Mumbai Indians in Pune this evening. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that national interest is of paramount importance in the functioning of the government. Addressing BJP party workers on the 42nd Foundation Day, Mr. Modi said the country has policy, intent and decisiveness.
इस अमृत काल में भारत की सोच आत्मनिर्भरता की है, लोकल को ग्लोबल बनाने की है, सामाजिक न्याय की है, समरसता की है। इन्हीं संकल्पों को लेकर एक विचारविद के रूप में हमारी पार्टी की स्थापना हुई थी। इसलिए ये अमृत काल भाजपा के हर एक कार्यकर्ता के लिए कर्तव्य काल है। हमें देश के संकल्पों के साथ निरंतर जुड़े रहना है, उनके लिए जीना है, उनके लिए जूझना है।
Mr. Modi said today the government not only sets goals but also achieves them. He said the country has recently achieved the highest ever goods exports of $400 billion. The Prime Minister said BJP's double-engine government came to power once again in 4 states. He said after 3 decades, the party has touched the mark of 100 members in the Rajya Sabha.
इस बार का स्थापना दिवस 3 वजहों से बहुत महत्वपूर्ण हो गया है। पहला कारण है कि इस समय हम देश की आजादी के 75 वर्ष का पर्व मना रहे हैं। ये प्रेरणा का बहुत बड़ा अवसर है। दूसरा कारण है तेजी से बदलती हुई वैश्विक परिस्थितियां। इसमें भारत के लिए लगातार नई संभावनाएं बन रही। तीसरा कारण, कुछ सप्ताह पहले 4 राज्यों में भाजपा की डबल इंजन की सरकारें वापस लौटी है। 3 दशकों के बाद राज्यसभा में किसी पार्टी के सदस्यों की संख्या 100 तक पहुंची है। यानी वैश्विक दृष्टिकोण से देखें या राष्ट्रीय दृष्टिकोण से देखें, भाजपा का दायित्व लगातार बढ़ रहा है।
Earlier, BJP National President J.P. Nadda hoisted the party flag at the party headquarters in Delhi. He also paid tributes to Dr. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee and Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay. Mr. Nadda inaugurated a blood donation camp at the party headquarters. On the occasion, he thanked party workers for their contributions.
कि हमारे ये करोड़ों कार्यकर्ताओं को प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में बताए गए रास्ते पर चलने के लिए ईश्वर शक्ति दे, ताकत दे, ताकि हम समाज में जो परिवर्तन लाते हुए देश को मजबूती की ओर ले जा रहे हैं, उसमें हमें ताकत मिले, हम उसको सही ढंग से पूरा कर सकें और आज स्थापना दिवस पर इस संकल्प को लेकर के हम चलें, ऐसी मैं ईश्वर से प्रार्थना करता हूं।
Home Minister Amit Shah said under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the BJP is marching ahead with the welfare of the people and the progress of the nation. In a series of tweets, Mr. Shah said the party has worked for the fulfillment of the aspirations of the poor, farmers, downtrodden and women who faced deprivation for 7 decades. BJP President JP Nadda also participated in the party's Shobha Yatra in the national capital today. Speaking on the occasion, Mr. Nadda said BJP has become such a huge party that its workers are celebrating the Foundation Day by gathering at 15,000 mandals across the country.
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar today said that India is strongly against the conflict, and in the age of dialogue and diplomacy, India has chosen the side of peace. He said India's approach is guided by its national beliefs and value systems as well as its national strategy.
In this day and age, dialogue and diplomacy are the right answers to any disputes. And this should bear in mind that the contemporary global order has been built on the UN Charter, on respect for international law and for the sovereignty and territorial integrity of all. If India has chosen a side, it is a side of peace. And it is for an immediate end to violence. This is our principal stand, and it has consistently guided our position in international forums and debates, including in the United Nations.
Replying to a discussion on Ukraine situation, the minister informed the Lok Sabha that he supports conducting an independent investigation with respect to the killings that took place in Bucha.
We are deeply disturbed by the reports. We strongly condemn the killings which have taken place there. This is an extremely serious matter, and we support the call for an independent investigation. Conflict in Ukraine has had significant consequences for the global economy and for our national economy. Like all countries, we too are assessing the implications and deciding what is best for our national interest.
The External Affairs apprised the House that energy flows continue to flow in the European market and measures were taken to insulate fertilizers market. The minister said he believes it should adhere to 4 elements. First, in terms of diplomacy, India advocates an immediate cessation of violence. The minister informed the House that Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke to both the countries in this regard. On humanitarian assistance, Dr. Jaishankar told the House 90 tons of relief material are underway. He said India will work with the international community to soften the economic impact. Saying food security is another matter of concern, the minister said India's export with respect to basmati, non-basmati, sugar and wheat have gone up. He told the House that India would step up for global demand for food. On the issue pertaining to supply of edible oil, Dr. Jaishankar informed the House that India's commercial diplomacy is trying to help the common people of the country. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar today said that the country is in touch with a few countries for the completion of the medical courses of the students who were studying in Ukraine before the crisis began. Replying to the Ukraine issue in the Lok Sabha, the minister said that Hungary has offered to complete the medical course of students and the ministry is in talks with other countries including Poland, Romania, Czech Republic and Kazakhstan.
Communications and Railways Minister Ashwini Vaishnav today said proliferation of 5G services in the country would facilitate internet on trains. Replying to questions in the Lok Sabha, Mr. Vaishnav said for flying with a speed of greater than 100 kilometers per hour, 5G is essential.
भारत के साइंटिस्ट ने जो डेवलप किया और पूरी दुनिया उसको आज देख रही है, वैसा 4G कंप्लीट कोर नेटवर्क, रेडियो एक्सेस नेटवर्क, पूरा उसका टेलीकॉम इक्विपमेंट का सेटअप पूरा बनके तैयार हुआ है। साथ ही साथ 5G का डेवलपमेंट भी इन पैरेलल चल रहा है। 100 किलोमीटर की स्पीड से ऊपर जाने के लिए आपको मिनिमम 5G चाहिए होती है। 4G में उसमें डिसरप्शन आना चालू होता है। तो ये एक टेक्नोलॉजी का एवोल्यूशनरी समय है। जैसे जैसे 5G भारत में डेवलप होगी और प्रोलिफरेट होगी, वैसे वैसे रेल में भी मिलने लगेगी।
Minister of Science and Technology Dr. Jitendra Singh today said the country is now at number 3 in the world in terms of unicorns. He said till yesterday there were 99 unicorns in the country. Replying to a question in the Lok Sabha, Jitendra Singh said the government is reaching out to startups in the country instead of waiting for them to approach the ministry for funding. Dr. Singh informed that the government has funded 10,600 startup projects in the last 8 years.
गत 8 वर्षों में 2014 से 2022 तक टोटल फंडेड 10,600 यानी लगभग 10 गुना 8 वर्षों की तुलना में स्टार्टअप्स की संख्या बढ़ी है और ये वो स्टार्टअप्स हैं जो सरकार की ओर से फंडेड है, चाहे वो साइंस टेक्नोलॉजी के विभाग की ओर से चाहे अन्य संस्थाओं की। अगर आप मात्र रजिस्टर्ड स्टार्टअप्स की संख्या लें, उसकी संख्या 67,000 है 2016 से, यानी जब से इसको प्राथमिकता दी गई।
Dr. Jitendra Singh also stated that the use of geospatial data has been restricted to domestic users. He said a restricted scientific resolution is made available to non-Indian companies. On the question of policy, the minister informed the Lok Sabha that the government is working on a new holistic policy.
We are in the process of formulating a policy which would outline the approach and strategy for holistic development of geospatial ecosystem. Because the technology is moving very fast, this new policy will finally then replace the existing national mapping policy which was formulated way back in 2005. So to that extent, of course, we need to update ourselves from time to time. We'll also take all these concerns into consideration and come out with a comprehensive policy. The work is already going on.
Congress MP Manish Tiwari pointed out the increased use of geospatial applications such as Google Earth and maps detailing minutest information about streets and locations of the country.
The government today denied that it has embarked on withdrawing the diesel and electrical engines by replacing these with solar power-based engines in the railways on the line of some other countries. This information was given by Railway Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw in a written reply in the Lok Sabha today. The government today said 36 biotech Kisan hubs have been established covering 15 agro-climatic zones across the country, which includes 112 aspirational districts. In a written reply in the Lok Sabha, Minister of Science and Technology, Dr. Jitendra Singh said that it helped more than 2 lakh farmers. Biotech Kisan Hub is a joint project between the Department of Biotechnology under the Ministry of Science and Technology and implementing institutions whose funding is done by the Department of Biotechnology.
The government is taking many steps to boost the sales of handloom products, and 22 virtual marketing events have been organized in the last 2 years to promote the sale. Also, 214 marketing events in physical mode have been sanctioned during 2021-22 to market the handloom products. In a written reply in the Lok Sabha, Minister of Textiles Piyush Goyal said that 135 handloom producer companies have been formed in different states of the country to enhance productivity, marketing capabilities and facilitate better incomes. The government is committed to ensure that the Internet in the country is open, safe and trusted and accountable for all users. In a written reply in the Lok Sabha, Minister of State for Electronics and Information Technology, Rajiv Chandrasekhar said Indian Computer Emergency Response Team, CERT-IN, is mandated to track and monitor cybersecurity incidents in India.
The Congress today in the Rajya Sabha raised the issue of incidents of hate speeches in the country. When the House met for the day, Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu disallowed the adjournment notices moved by the Congress on the issue of hate speeches, along with price rise by the TMC members. He, however, allowed Leader of Opposition Mallikarjun Kharge to briefly speak on the issue. Mr. Kharge drew the attention of the House towards the rising incidents of hate speeches against a particular community. He also talked about the recent alleged harassment of journalists covering an event where such hate speeches were made in Delhi. The chairman said nobody should indulge in any hate speech.
I have not allowed and nobody should indulge in hate speech against any community, minority or majority. Community should not be taken into this thing and nobody should make any speech against anybody.
The government has taken several measures to ensure the safety of minorities in the Kashmir Valley. These include a robust security and intelligence grid, group security in the form of static guards, day and night area domination, and round-the-clock checking at Nakas. In a written reply in the Rajya Sabha today, Minister of State for Home Nityanand Rai said patrolling is being carried out in the areas where the minorities reside, besides proactive operations against terrorists.
The International Monetary Fund, IMF, has lauded India's food subsidy program, which prevented the increased prevalence of extreme poverty in the country during COVID-19. In a report, the IMF has said The expansion of food transfers and subsidies make it an important instrument for poverty alleviation. Appreciating the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana, the report demonstrated that the program provided insurance to the poor and prevented an increase in the prevalence of extreme poverty in the country.
You are listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses BJP workers on the party's Foundation Day today, says national interest is of paramount importance in the functioning of government. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar says India is strongly against conflict and in the age of dialogue and diplomacy, the country chooses the side of peace. 2 terrorists killed by security forces in Jammu and Kashmir. IMF lauds India's Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana program, which prevented extreme poverty in the country during the COVID-19 pandemic. India is now at number 3 in the world in terms of unicorns, 99 unicorns registered so far in the country. Minister of State for Electronics and Information Technology says government is committed to ensure open, safe, trusted and accountable internet for all users. Ayush Ministry to celebrate Yog Mahotsav on the World Health Day at Red Fort in New Delhi tomorrow. PV Sindhu storms into the second round and Kidambi Srikanth advances to pre-quarterfinals in the Korea Open Badminton Championships 2022. And in IPL cricket, Kolkata Knight Riders to take on Mumbai Indians in Pune this evening. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो खुद से वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे.
Welcome back to the Midday News. The Ayush Ministry will celebrate Yog Mahotsav on the World Health Day at Red Fort in New Delhi tomorrow. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla and several union ministers will demonstrate common yoga protocol 75 days ahead of the International Day of Yoga. During the event, members of parliament, ambassadors of various countries, prominent sports celebrities and yoga gurus will participate. In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, the Public Works Department has embarked on a mission to reach out to unconnected habitations with road connectivity, strengthen and expand the intra-UT road network, especially in rural and remote areas of Jammu and Kashmir. Our Srinagar correspondent reports that 6,625 kilometers of road has been blacktopped, whereas 2,480 kilometers of road in Jammu and Kashmir has been constructed in 2021-22 under PMGSY.
Under Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, about 2,480 kilometers of road length was completed last year. Besides, 125 bridges are under construction to provide connectivity to far-flung areas in Jammu and Kashmir. 2,353 PMGSY projects covering 16,448 kilometers were completed, which connected 2,033 habitations in Jammu and Kashmir since its inception. This marvelous journey of road length achievement by PMGSY in Jammu and Kashmir has earned it 4th place in the national performance ranking. For the Jammu and Kashmir administration, road connectivity is not only a key component of rural development by promoting access to economic and social services, but generating increased agricultural incomes and productive employment opportunities is also a part of the implementation strategy of the government. This is Sunil Kohl for AR News from Srinagar.
In Assam, all preparations are being made to successfully conduct the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association or CPA Mid-Year Executive Committee meeting and CPA India Region Conference in Guwahati from the 9th of this month. Talking to AIR correspondent, Speaker of the Assam Assembly Biswajit Daimari said that for the first time the CPA meeting will be held in India. He said that representatives of all 9 regions of CPA will take part in the 2-day event. In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, 2 terrorists were killed by security forces in a gunfight in Tral area of South Kashmir's Pulwama district this morning. Kashmir Zone Police in a tweet said that a terrorist of Ansar Ghazawat ul Hind Safat Muzaffar Sofi, and a terrorist of Lashkar-e-Toiba terror outfit, namely Umar Teli, were killed in the encounter.
And now let's listen to our special program Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav.
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. Birth of a Nation. India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
Man needs salt as he needs air and water. This salt comes from the Indian Ocean. Let every Indian claim it as his right.
On 6th April 1930, Mahatma Gandhi, after walking for 241 miles, defied the salt's law by picking up a lump of salt at Dandi village in Gujarat.
Truth was once again on the march. Never was the wave of patriotism so powerful in the hearts of Indians as it was on this great occasion.
The spark of Dandi March ignited the flames of the freedom movement and caused the idea of mass civil disobedience to spread like wildfire across the nation.
Daily, Gandhi tramped about 10 miles. On the way, he spoke on his familiar themes, beseeching the people to abjure alcohol, abandon child marriage, and, when the signal came, to break the salt law.
Dandi March was initiated by Mahatma Gandhi from Sabarmati Ashram on the 13th of March 1930 along with 78 satyagrahis. Daily, they walked and addressed public meetings. The ashram routine of prayer, spinning and writing up the daily diary was followed by every marcher.
After the day's march through heat and dust, Gandhi and his followers entered the village Dharamshala for the night's rest. In the evening, the prayer meeting was held in the village. Gandhi explained his mission. The soldiers of the first batch had burnt their boats the moment the march began. He added that he would not return to the ashram until the Salt Act was repealed and Swaraj won. Next morning, the people of Aslali saw Gandhi stride away with his pilgrim band to the next stage in the journey to the sea.
The long march of 241 miles finally ended on the 5th of April 1930. Along the way, Gandhiji and his companions had broken journey for the night at 22 places.
Sarojini Naidu received Gandhi and his followers on the outskirts of the village. After relaxing for a few hours, he set out to prepare the people for the war against the salt tax that was to begin next morning.
On April the 6th, the atmosphere at Dandi was both tense and solemn. The day began with prayers, and Gandhiji addressed the people.
Those who fear the government will leave. Only those who are prepared for jail-going and for receiving bullets should accompany me tomorrow morning.
Gandhiji then nominated Shri Abbas Tayyibji and after him Sarojini Naidu to lead the Satyagraha if he was arrested. After prayers, Gandhiji with his followers took a bath in the sea. Then, at 8:30 a.m., he defied the salt law by picking up a lump of salt. The entire nation rose against what Gandhiji described as Gunda Raj.
Millions broke the salt law and courted imprisonment. Salt depots were raided everywhere, and the manufacture of salt was undertaken. In a single raid at Dharsana, 289 volunteers were wounded. But even the brutality of the police failed to break the morale of the people. The police opened fire in Calcutta, Madras and Karachi and perpetrated acts of brutality all over the country. On May the 4th, Mahatma Gandhi was arrested at Karadi, 3 miles from Dandi, whilst asleep in his cottage.
We also remember martyr Babuji Donsegir, a resident of Khandesh, Maharashtra, who died on the 6th of April 1858. Babuji was a soldier in the English East India Company Army in Khandesh, but left it during the First War of Indian Independence in 1857 and took part in fighting against the British on several occasions. He also offered financial assistance to his neighbors and encouraged them to join the independence movement. He was martyred on the 6th of April 1859 in the course of an engagement in Khandesh. We salute the great son of the soil.
We also remember martyr Ghulam Nabi, who took part in the First War of Indian Independence in 1857. Initially a soldier in the British Indian Army at Ambala, Nabi joined the Indian freedom activists and fought against the British Army. However, he was captured by the British soldiers and charged with mutiny and desertion. He was executed on the 6th of April 1858 at Ambala.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
स्वाधीनता संग्राम के वे निशान जो साक्षी हैं हमारे सेनानियों के संघर्ष और बलिदान के। आकाशवाणी समाचार ला रहा है विशेष श्रृंखला निशान। हर बुधवार को शाम 4:45 पर कार्यक्रम परिक्रमा में FM गोल्ड 100.1 मेगाहर्ट्ज पर।
Moving on, in Pakistan, Chief Justice Umar Ata Bandial has said the Apex Court would try to wrap up today the case on the ruling by National Assembly Deputy Speaker Qasim Suri to impede the vote of no confidence against Prime Minister Imran Khan. Mr. Bandial made the remarks as a 5-member bench took up the case. In Sri Lanka, Chief Government Whip Johnston Fernando informed Parliament today that President Gotabaya Rajapaksa will not resign under any circumstances and the government will face the present crisis. According to media, Mr. Johnston said the President was elected following a mandate given to him by people. The declaration defies calls from the public and political opponents for the President to step down amid the country's economic crisis. Crowds have protested for weeks over power cuts and shortages of gas, food and other basic goods. The United States announced a $100 million military aid for Ukraine. This is the 6th batch of U.S. equipment aid to Ukraine since August.
On to sports. Third seed PV Sindhu stormed into the second round of the Korea Open Badminton Championship 2022 after defeating USA's Lauren Lam at the Palma Stadium in Suncheon, South Korea today, and Kidambi Srikanth too advanced to the pre-quarterfinals. In IPL cricket, Kolkata Knight Riders will take on Mumbai Indians in their next encounter in Pune this evening. Last night, Royal Challengers Bangalore defeated Rajasthan Royals by 4 wickets in Mumbai.
Now let us take a look at the weather update for the day. National capital Delhi is expected to have heat wave. The minimum temperature was 22 degrees while the maximum is expected to be around 40 degrees Celsius. Mumbai is expected to have a mainly clear sky becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. Minimum temperature was 27 degrees Celsius while maximum is expected to be around 33 degrees. Chennai is likely to have a partly cloudy sky. Minimum temperature was 26 degrees, maximum temperature expected to be 35. Kolkata is likely to have a partly cloudy sky. Minimum temperature was 27 degrees, maximum will be around 33. Srinagar is expected to have mainly clear sky. Minimum temperature was 8 degrees, maximum expected to be around 27.
The air quality in Delhi NCR continues to remain in poor category. According to the Central Pollution Control Board, Delhi's air quality index was recorded at more than 200 in most of the places. The air quality forecast for Delhi is that it is likely to remain in poor category tomorrow and day after.
And now before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses BJP workers on the party's Foundation Day today, says national interest is of paramount importance in the functioning of government. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar says India is strongly against conflict and in the age of dialogue and diplomacy, the country chooses the side of peace. 2 terrorists killed by security forces in Jammu and Kashmir. IMF lauds India's Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana program, which prevented extreme poverty in the country during the COVID-19 pandemic. India is now at number 3 in the world in terms of unicorns, 99 unicorns registered so far in the country. Minister of State for Electronics and Information Technology says government is committed to ensure open, safe, trusted and accountable internet for all users. Ayush Ministry to celebrate Yog Mahotsav on World Health Day at Red Fort in New Delhi tomorrow. PV Sindhu and Kidambi Srikanth advanced to pre-quarterfinals in Korea Open Badminton Championships 2022. In IPL cricket, Kolkata Knight Riders to take on Mumbai Indians in Pune this evening. And with that we end the midday news.